Sarah and Max, an unlikely pair in this wild podcast, they're the perfect flair. Sarah's charm, so feminine and free, a Cali girl spirit under the podcast tree. Max a strong force with a punch in every word. Together they navigate the dating absurd. Don't forget to hit subscribe, join the crew for more laughs and tales just for you. Now back to the show.
Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of Good for Shidduchim. I'm your host, Sarah Levine. I have my co-host with me, Max Landisman, and we have a very special guest with us for this episode. This episode actually is sponsored by...
If you are single, there's only one thing that women want to hear more than your bank account and your height, and that's if you learn. And if you don't have a chavrusa right now, you can find a chavrusa using My Avrech. With My Avrech, they will simply match you up with a perfect avrech for you. You can study any topic you want. And of course, it's good for shidduchim. Go to myavrech.co and get your avrech today.
Thank you so much for listening. Please give us a 5-star review, comment, send us an email, goodforshidduchim@gmail.com. Leave us a comment or like us on our Instagram page, which is Good for Shidduchim. And without further ado, we wanted to introduce Aviva with us. Welcome, Aviva.
Hi.
Hello.
Hi.
Hi. We are very excited to have Aviva on our podcast. She actually had a conversation with Max. Max was a host. Well, not a host. He was a guest speaker for the Shagri Green Believe. I don't know why I have such a hard time saying that. And conversation kind of sparked. And so we wanted to have Aviva on just to kind of carry on that conversation that happened. Max, maybe you can give a little bit more of a background of how this kind of came to fruition.
Yeah, so Shagri and Believe actually reached out to me and they asked me if I would like to speak at one of their Zoom meetings. It was on a Sunday. The title, their subject was how to be better shadchanim, or how to be better matchmakers, and we were going through certain strategies that I was discussing, and Aviva was kind enough to kind of raise her hand there and ask me, what I think is actually a phenomenal question. What about, people who are 50 plus, who are divorced or whatever. She brought up a great point as far as men not being as serious about dating. And quite frankly, it's a topic we never, I don't think, delved into as much, and was very, very interesting. And Aviva, thank you for being on the show, and maybe you can enlighten us on a little bit more about what you were discussing.
Well, thank you so much for having me.
Of course.
Of course, I can only speak to my own personal experiences. I've been divorced for 10 years. I was married for 28. I've met a lot of wonderful people. I've had a lot of experiences with dating, and I've come to the realization that a lot of the men that I've met, I think that they really, at this point in their lives, I'm over 50, I'm closer to 60, and all of the men that I've spoken to and dated have been also closer to 60 and over. And I think that it's my experience that as they've gotten older, they're not so interested in marriage. They spend hours and hours on the phone talking to me at night when they're probably lonely. And when it comes down to actually putting effort into a face-to-face meeting and traveling to Baltimore, where I live, not so many of them really want to make the effort. Communicating over the phone and video for hours, it's effortless and it's not real. And, I've thought a lot about this, and I'm trying to readapt the way and revamp the way that I date and not spend so much time on the phone with men before meeting them, because I think it's important to see that they're willing to make the effort and invest in coming to see me, at least for that initial meeting. But, I think also that there is a component of, a lot of these men live in New York, they live in New Jersey, they live in a candy store, and they can really go on a date every night with different women if they so choose to. And then come home and not have any responsibility and, still be free to live their own lives, separate of anybody else. So I thought about, well, why is that? I think, and there are probably women like this as well. I don't want to just bash men, but I can only speak to my experiences with men, obviously. I think that probably a lot of them got burnt in their divorces. The ones that are still single, and I've met a few of those, I think that it may be a commitment issue. It may be other issues. So I generally don't. I try not to meet those men and speak so much to those men. But I don't know. This is just my experience that they don't seem to be so invested when it comes to investing in actually creating a relationship that is not just a phone relationship.
Right. And if I may ask, does this also, I know you mentioned that these are guys that are generally from the New York area, so you're in Baltimore. Were there guys from other areas as well that were kind of refusing to kind of meet up? Like, even if someone was in the Baltimore area, are they also not interested in meeting, or was it exclusively like New York, New Jersey area?
No, I've met some men here in Baltimore, a few men. That hasn't been the issue. And it's not only New York, New Jersey. There was one guy in Minnesota, and we talked, and then we never wound up meeting. And I understand. It's a big deal to get on an airplane, to invest in a flight, but I don't look at it that way. I look at it as, distance is only temporary, and it's a temporary investment for the rest of my life. And if I would meet somebody and they would come here and I would want to see them again, I don't have a problem with traveling to their city. I just think that the initial meeting, it's preferable that the man should go to the woman.
No, 100%. Question is, it's like, I understand if a man doesn't want to travel, but if they're talking to you for 6 hours, and then they're like, well, I don't want to go out, that's what I don't get. That's what I'm having trouble with.
I'm also having trouble with that. I mean, I could spend 4, 5, 6 hours one night talking to somebody, and then a few other conversations, and I don't know. We just don't wind up meeting. And I did have some situations, and this wasn't all of them, where they would say, well, come down here, come to Florida, come here, come there. I'll pay for your ticket. I'll pay for you to go to a hotel. And, that just didn't feel right to me. I don't want to feel like I owe anybody anything. Right. Yeah. I think that's very uncomfortable. I would never let a guy pay for me to fly to him and get my own hotel room. I even had a guy say, okay, let's go somewhere for Shabbos, and we'll each have separate rooms, and it's going to be nothing's going to happen, And I came to realize that before I even said that I would do such a thing, he had already booked. It wasn't even 2 separate rooms. It was 2 rooms in a suite. And then when I told him, no, I'm not doing that, he gave me some guilt trip. Oh, I paid so much money, and I'm sorry. Nobody told you to pay so much money. I'm not looking for that. I'm looking for a husband to live the rest of my life with, to share my life with. And I just think a lot of men are not looking for that.
It's so interesting, Aviva, that you're bringing this up. First of all, not a lot of people have come forward to talk about being divorced and what it's like, dating in your in the community. We did interview 2 other women that are I don't know if they're in the same age as you, but they're definitely in the same community.
You mean in Baltimore? What do you mean by community? In Baltimore?
Like an older singles community. Yeah,
Oh,
they're actually in Baltimore. Yeah,
Oh, can I just add one thing?
yeah.
And that is that this particular guy and other men also, when he saw that like I wasn't interested in sharing a hotel room with him, I never heard from him again. And other guys also. I remember there was this one guy, you know, it was before one of the told him, I don't remember which one. Oh, come with me here, and you know, we'll get separate rooms. And I said, no, I'm not happening. And never heard from him again. So it's really a turnoff because we're obviously not here for the same reason. If I don't hear from you again after I decline putting myself in a situation that I'm not comfortable in, then you really weren't interested in me. You were interested in what it was that you could get from me in the moment.
Are these like from people? Like
Yes.
you know,
Yes.
Yeah, these are so these are from. Yeah, and how did you meet? How do you meet these people?
Oh gosh. They
Tinder,
come from all
obviously.
over, and they come and go like the wind. They come from all over. J-Wed, J-Date, different shadchanim. I'm all over. Listen, I must have 50 shadchanim's contact information in my phone. All over. Just you know, Facebook, because I'm in different Facebook groups. All over.
Wow. Okay. And the majority of the guys that you speak to for hours on end and nothing really happens, like, are those also from all different types? You can't say, oh, those are the guys that I meet on apps, or those are the guys that I met through a shotgun. Those are the guys that I met through a website.
They're all over. And the same guys are all over. And it's and I am, you know, trying to set myself straight and not spend so much time on the phone with somebody and not be so generous with my time. And, you know, at a certain point, you know, speaking to them a few hours for a couple of times. And I do have a shadchan who actually became a good friend of mine who is trying to guide me in my dating. And so I am trying to be more mindful and purposeful.
So when you're talking, I just have a question. So when you're talking for 4 or 6 hours on the phone, I'm just curious, like, do these conversations like go anywhere? Are they just like very generalized? Are they just about your days? Are you getting like more in detail about like your family, your kids, your background? Like maybe he's a widower and you're a divorced woman. Like, are you getting like into like very intimate details, or is it just very general, very surface level type conversations?
Let me just tell you, it's not usually 6 hours. It has been, you know, on occasion. And it's just, you know, I remember once particularly it was 6 hours, but that's not really typical. I'm talking about everything, just, you know, and the time goes, you know, just talking about our families and our experiences and, you know, not just a lot of different things and topics and the time goes, you don't realize, you know?
Right. So you feel like when you're speaking to these guys that you have a genuine connection and you feel that, okay, if we're on the phone for this amount of time and we're speaking about these like details, you would think he would want to take it further.
I do feel that way. And it's not just on the phone, it's videoing also. And either they disappear or when I say, well, you know, are we going to meet, or they don't make it. They don't say, let's meet. And then sometimes they just disappear. Like it's,
well, it sounds very hurtful. First of all, it's not a good feeling for that to happen to anybody. So I'm sorry it's happening to you. And
well, thank you. But I don't take these things personally. I know who I am, and I know that.
Right.
I know that every experience that I have in my life is to make me a better person, a stronger person. And I do believe that there is somebody out there for me, and he's going to be a very happy, lucky man. And it's not up to me when it happens. It'll happen when it's the right time for me. And I have to go through these experiences, and I don't take anything personally like that, because it's not about me. It's about them. It's not about, but I am trying to be more boundaried in my dating and purposeful, and date more with intention. And I also have thought of, really, even though, I'm not in the yeshivish world, so to speak, but even like using a shadchan with each person that I date, so that we both know that we're here for a purpose, and we both have accountability.
Mm-hmm. So you're okay then, like, with these conversations really not going anywhere because you don't take it so personally?
Am I okay with it? I mean, I'm not okay with it because I've invested a lot of time, but more recently I've decided that I'm not going to invest so much time before I meet somebody.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because I was gonna say, it sounds like they have, like, these men have an agenda to, take more of an emotional approach, I guess, and they appreciate the emotional response they get from you. And then once they're done with that, maybe they're done. I don't know if they want anything physical out of it, just something emotional. They really enjoy speaking with you, and they're getting what they want. And then once they have it, and on an emotional level, they're done.
It sounds like they also want the physical too, right?
But that's in some cases. That's not in everything.
It is in some cases, and I do think I'm a great person to talk to. I'm fun. I make people laugh. I'm very interesting. And I think a lot of people are lonely, and I'm also lonely at night.
Mm-hmm.
But it's not worth my investment anymore. It's not worth my effort and my investment and my time. And, yeah.
Yeah, the thing is about this, I have heard about this through the grapevine as well, through a close family friend, where she's kind of in a similar boat, where she's like, the guy won't even drive like an hour and a half to see her, which makes no sense to me. So like, that's what piqued my curiosity, because I'm like, is this an actual thing where like men are they're basically just screwing around? Like, that's basically what they're doing. They're like wasting people's time, and they're not, it's crazy. It's crazy to me.
And I'll tell you something. I have a daughter in New Jersey. I have 2 married children here in Baltimore. I have a daughter in New Jersey who's married with kids. And I can't tell you the number of men who have said to me, "Oh, next time you're in New Jersey, let's meet." And you know what? Men, I'm sure they don't intend to make a woman feel devalued when they say that. But that's really devaluing when you say to a woman, "Well, you're not worth me making the effort to come and see you. So when you're here, take time away from your family and meet me." Like, who do you think you are? Like, I'm the woman. You want me to be the man? Like, I don't want to be the man. If you don't think that I have enough value for you to make the effort to come and see me and treat me like a woman and be the man, then leave me alone. And so, you know what I say to them? I say, "Okay, next time you're in Baltimore, let me know. I'd love to be taken out by you."
Nice. That's great.
Because
I would have just said, "No, thank you. I am not going to tell you next time I'm in New Jersey."
Because I will tell you something. My time is valuable. And when I go to New Jersey, I go there to spend time with my family.
Yeah.
I don't go there to go on a date with you, because I don't even know you. Like,
I'm wondering if, like, these men, they have like a past, and I'm just wondering if they want kind of an outlet to they have somebody who went through maybe the same thing as them, that like a divorce, but they have children and they want to talk to somebody who has similar trauma. And so I feel like maybe sometimes they do want to like maybe speak to you. Like you said, you are somebody who's like approachable, who people enjoy to speak to. So maybe that's one other thing. And they don't understand maybe that they're using one aspect of you, and they're not understanding like what they're doing. But it sounds like they are pretty intentional, or because they just ghost you out of nowhere.
I'm not really sure, and I also have to take some responsibility here because I've allowed this. I don't. Nobody forced me to spend hours on the phone with these men, so I obviously got some enjoyment out of it also. But there have been a lot. There are a lot of men. It's not just a few men that, whether the conversation goes right to sex early on in the conversation, or whether it's like the hotel room situation. There are a lot of men, and I have a theory. Okay, my theory is this: I wonder if men my age were not being physical with women, I wonder if there would be more marriages in my age group.
That's a very interesting take, and I've I've heard a statement, believe it or not, from now the late Charlie Kirk, actually, which I think maybe it's apropos in this case, where he said, he's like, if you want to have better men, have better women. What he meant by that was when guys are asking for things like that, and if all women essentially said no, men would essentially be forced to be better. I don't know. What is your take on that?
I think that's true. The men are not doing it with themselves; they're doing it with women, and women are saying yes. But like, I'll give you an example. I know there are Shabbatones. I know personally because I know people that go there. I have male friends that go there, and they've told me they go to these Shabbatones. It's not an organized thing. It's like maybe one particular person makes a Shabbaton in a hotel every so often. And basically, it's these men and these women. And I've been invited in the past years ago, but I'm not interested in it. And like, basically, it's like most of the women there have slept with most of the men there. So everybody, it's like, this guy told me, he's just a friend of mine. And he said, somebody came up to me and she said, let's go up to your room and it's like, that's disgusting. Like, what is that? Like, what the heck is that? Like, and
What's happening?
Is that like, don't you care if you pick up some disease? Like, I'm a nurse, so I think about these things a lot, but like, what is that? That's so shallow. Like, you just, and I said to this guy, I said, well, you're going to sleep with her, but don't forget that she probably slept with all the other guys there. And like, it's disgusting. Like, don't get me wrong. I'm a very physically warm woman. It's very important, that part of my life. And but that's so cheap. It's just like, it's not meaningful to me. Like, I just, like, I'm looking for a relationship, not just to get in bed with somebody. And to me, that's not really.
So do you feel like that a lot of the guys really just want one thing?
I think that it's normal for a man to have a sex drive. It's normal for a man's sex drive, I think, to be more than a woman's as time goes on and we get older. What? That's normal. It's not their fault that they are like that. They are sexually driven. But I think the component here is that the men, I feel like a lot of men have gotten hurt and burnt in their marriages, in their divorces, probably a lot of them financially, and they don't want to make the commitments. They don't have to make the commitments. they not only do they not want to because of the hurt and the investment, and they're afraid they're going to get burnt again, but like we said, they don't have to make the commitment because they are getting their needs met. And I'm not saying men. I'm not saying accusing men of being animals. It's just that's how they are. And if I were a man, maybe I'd be the same way. I don't know. You know what I'm saying?
So this is happening in a lot. Wait, I'm like having like
Is this like a rude awakening or something?
kind of a rude awakening. I guess I'm a little prudish, but I wasn't expecting to hear that like in single events that happen, like I guess in hotel rooms, that this is happening.
But so have you been on dates where the guys were actually half decent, or were they actually serious? Or
I've met a lot of good people, a number of good men, yes. But for whatever reason, personality wise, mostly it wasn't a good fit. You know, there have been men that I like, they didn't like me. There's, you know, we've all been on both sides, you know, both sides of it. And to be honest with you, when I got divorced 10 years ago, I never thought I would be still unmarried. I thought, okay, I'll get remarried soon. Like, I didn't think it was going to be so complicated. And I think, you know, even though, you know, my children are all out of the house and I'm at a different stage of life, I'm more settled in my life. I know who I am. I know what I'm looking for. It's still not so simple finding the right person.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. But so it also sounds like, and Aviva, you can confirm or not, but it sounds like also a lot of these women aren't looking for serious relationships either, or they're just sleeping around in the hopes of it being more. Like, what are they also just not looking for anything other than that? Or
I don't know. I really don't know, because it's not something I speak to women about. I don't know who these women are. We don't speak about these things. And I feel like I'm just bashing men, and I don't need to come across as man bashing. Because the women are just as, you know, they're, like I said, they're doing it. They're not doing it with themselves. They're doing it with other women. So it is consensual. And I heard of cases, like I said, where the women actually go up to the man. I don't know what they're thinking. I honestly, I don't know what they're thinking. Maybe some of them don't want to get married. Maybe they think if they sleep with the guy, he'll marry them. I don't know.
What is the setting though? Like, are these people who are everybody has been married before, or these are just general single events?
I think there are different. I don't think it's just one type of demographic. Mm-hmm. I don't think it's just one. I think a bunch of people have these single events where, you know, there's a bunch of people that knows each other and they get together regularly, and you know, and they're entitled to do whatever they want. Like, I don't mean to sound like I'm not judging them. That's not what I'm looking for. And I think that if anybody's looking for a permanent relationship, I for the life of me, I can't understand why they would put themselves in a situation like that.
Yeah. And do you feel like it was the same way now, like it was, I don't know, do you know anyone that was essentially in your position, but like 10 or 20 years beforehand? Do you feel like there was just a social shift in people over the last 10 years? Or was it essentially, you think it was always kind of like this regardless?
I don't really know from other people's experiences before I found myself in the world of divorce. I can only speak to what's going on now as I see it. And I really do think that if there was less, to be blunt, sex going on, there would be more marriages.
Yeah. Yeah. And Yeah, that's kind of the whole point of this podcast is like when things happen in the shidduchim world, and especially things that may not be on the top of people's minds, to kind of bring it on top of people's minds. So this is fascinating. Like, I wasn't aware of this.
And you know what? Everybody's entitled to what they want. If they just want to have sex and they just don't want to have any responsibilities, they're entitled to that. And if men and women, but that's not what I'm looking for.
Yeah, absolutely. But you mentioned also beforehand that you were very involved with, also helping others. Maybe you can elaborate a little bit more about that as well.
Oh, so being that I live in Baltimore, there's a fellow by the name of Wayne and Denise Chestner, and he's made many Shabbatons over the years. They both he and his wife were previously married and divorced and married each other. And last year in the DoubleTree Hilton, there was a Shabbaton for disabled people, and I was part of that. I helped coordinate that. It was free to everybody who came, and two people met there. The woman was in a wheelchair, and the man has cochlear implants. They met, they married, they lived near me, and it's such a beautiful, happy ending. And they're doing it again in October. It's going to be in Nagila, and it's also again free. He's chartering a bus from New York, and I would love to see people get married, especially this group of people where they're kind of forgotten. People don't think of fixing them up with helping them find somebody. And so it's open to disabled, hearing impaired, and people with autism. And I'm hoping it's going to be a wonderful event. It's a lot of fun. A lot goes into it. We have entertainment, Motzi Shabbos. Like I said, there's a bus, and it's just it's a lot of fun. And there's going to be a shadchan there who helps fix up disabled people. And I'm a nurse, so I'll be there. And I think there's going to be an EMT there. And we're just hoping it's going to be, even if nobody winds up, getting married from the event, at least these people know that people care about them and people want to see them married if that's what they want,
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's fantastic what you guys are doing. And if someone wanted to sign up to that, how would they go about it? Is there a website or something like that?
We do have a flyer, and like I said, it's free of charge. And
that's so special.
Come and have a great time. And Wayne and Denise are super amazing people. I mean, I don't know of anybody else who does this, and I don't know of anybody else who makes a Shabbaton and pays and puts the bill 100%. I mean,
wow,
pretty incredible.
Wow, that sounds amazing. Yeah, and it sounds like it's a nice event too.
It's a lot of fun. They have the dating game. They have they have a panel. They have questions and answers and speed dating. And it's not only sitting down and eating the meals and singing and then go back to your room. It's like the Shabbaton goes very, very fast because it's just a lot of fun. A lot of fun.
Okay, great.
Yeah. And I really do feel that the more that I am busy trying to help other people get married, the more it's going to help bring me closer to the person that I'm going to marry. And it's such a great feeling to, and if I meet a man and he's a good person, but we just weren't a good fit, very, very often I try to set him up. Like there's a guy that I dated when I was first divorced. His name is Yankee. And we stayed friends like all these years. And he tells me about his dates and I tell him about my dates. And he's Chabad. And I just fixed him up a few times. And, it's a great feeling to fix people up. It would be a greater feeling if they would get married. I want them to fix it up one time. But
and in your zechus, you should find the right person for yourself.
Amen.
Definitely.
Amen. Thank you.
Yeah,
Everything in the right time. In the
exactly.
meantime, I have a great life. I have a lot of fun with my grandkids. I have 2 married kids that live here in Baltimore. I have 4 grandkids here, and it's fun. It's great.
Good.
Baruch Hashem. Baruch Hashem.
That's good. But thank you so much, Aviva, for sharing with us your experience. We really appreciate you being vulnerable and opening up to us. And did you want Mac? Do you have like an email that you wanted to spell out for people?
I do have an email. Well, first of all, thank you both for the opportunity for, getting it out there. And, I hope that, there can be other opportunities for people my age to meet and for, more discussions, and possibly you can have a man on here who's in the group to hear like this.
It's only women that are coming forward.
No, I would love to have a man on here. I just
but we don't even know. Nobody's coming forward. Like the women, like come forward. They're vulnerable. They open up. The men, nobody has said anything, so we don't know. We don't know their status. We don't know,
I'll tell you the truth. I just feel like they should be able to defend themselves after everything I said.
No.
Aviva, if you ever get matched up with another douchebag, maybe you can ask him right before if he would like to be on Good for Shidduchim and explain why they are the way they are.
We can blast him for you. Tell him, there's this great Shidduch podcast, and then we'll just blast him on it.
Okay.
Aviva, right? Come on.
So let me give you my email. It's springbird, which is my name, Aviva Tzipora. Springbird3562@gmail.com.
Okay. All right. Amazing. Well, thank you so much, Aviva. We really appreciate you being on, and hopefully everybody who's listening enjoyed the podcast. If you didn't, that's okay. Email us, send us a DM on our Instagram. And until next time, bye, everybody.
And remember, everything will always be about Shidduchim. Catch you in the next episode.